Okay, and I got the thumbs up that we're streaming, so we're good to go.
All right. My clock says 1:59, but we're still okay, even though it's not 2.
2 o'clock.
Yes, now it's 2 o'clock. Okay, great. I'm going to go ahead and call the Clean Energy Alliance Board of Directors meeting to order. It's December 30th, 2021 at 2 p.m. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Certainly. Member Drucker,
Here.
Member Insco,
Here.
Member Musgrove,
Here, thank you.
Vice Chair Bob Patel,
Here.
and Chair Becker.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, we'll wait a second and see if we can get the flag up on the screen. And if you will all join me, I'll go ahead and lead. We're virtual, but it should have been in the city of Solana Beach. So,
Oh.
see, Priya, everybody's ready. So should we just go ahead?
Is it up?
Not yet, but that's okay. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance
to the
to the
flag
flag
United
of the United States of America,
to the republic,
to the republic
for which it stands,
stands,
nation,
one nation, under God,
Indivisible.
indivisible,
and justice.
with
Liberty and justice for all.
I don't think we get points for harmonizing.
I like it that way. Okay, good. So now we have an exciting moment. We are going to have the oath of office for our City of San Marcos members, our board member, and our alternate board members. So, Madam Clerk, take it away.
Thank you. If the new members would please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Randy Walton,
I, Edward Musgrove,
do solemnly swear
do
do
solemnly
solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support
defend
and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the
the Constitution of the
States
United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Thank you. Welcome to the board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Very exciting. We're so happy to have you. All right. Does anyone have any board comments or announcements? Seeing none, we have no presentations today. Is that correct? And no public comment?
I have no public comment.
All right, great. That brings us to the consent calendar. We have 3 items on consent. Would anyone like to pull one of those items? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to move those items.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, great. Madam Clerk, call for the vote.
Member Insco? Member Insco?
Aye.
Member Drucker?
Yes.
Member Musgrove?
Abstain.
Vice Chair Bob Patel?
Aye.
Chair Becker?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. All right, brings us to new business. Item number 4, consider adoption of resolution number 2021-017, amending resolution number 2021-007, and setting rates for the Clean Energy Alliance. Madam CEO, this will be turned back to you.
Thank you, Chair Becker. And I do have a presentation for the board with regards to what's under consideration at this moment. So I'm going to switch to share my screen. And then are the slides advancing?
No.
Okay. I did an upgrade hoping that it would fix the problem, but it didn't. So Okay, here we go.
Yep.
Okay. So the item before the board for consideration is a recommendation to adopt resolution number 2021-017, amending resolution number 2021-007, setting rates for Clean Energy Alliance, and directing staff to adjust the rate schedule as appropriate to ensure all rates are equitably regarding achieving savings compared to the San Diego Gas and Electric 2022 rate schedules. And I'll take a moment to explain that second half of the recommendation. As you'll hear from me in the presentation, we did not actually until just about an hour ago have SDG&E's actual rate schedules. We were using their rate application, which discusses their rate change in terms of system average change. And we developed our rates based on that system average change. Now that we have the actual rate schedules, we're going to go through a process of comparing, recalculating the rates and comparing them to the rates before the board at this time. And SDG&E doesn't necessarily apply their rate changes the same amongst different, for example, the different time of use periods. They might increase one time of use period by one factor and another time of use by a different factor. And we want to make sure that the end result is all of our customers have the same, in this case, rate discount, that are achieving our 2% rate discount in all of the various specific rate schedules. And that's what that second half of the recommendation refers to. I also want to mention that I have John DeLussy from Pacific Energy Advisors. He is with us participating in our meeting, and he and his team actually do the behind the scenes work in analyzing SDG&E's rates and developing our rate schedules. And so he can assist with questions that may come up that I may not be able to answer. And we appreciate, of course, their work in preparing this information for us. So in terms of our rate setting process, Clean Energy Alliance mirrors SDG&E's rate schedules for ease and customer understanding and comparison. So we have the same time of use periods. Our on-peak time periods are the same times as SDG&E's times, and we offer the same rates. This makes it easy for customers to understand the implications of choosing to take service from Clean Energy Alliance or staying with SDG&E. We begin with SDG&E's rates. We adjust them for exit fees. So when our customers leave SDG&E for service for the generation portion and become Clean Energy Alliance customers, SDG&E does charge our customers a new fee called an exit fee. And the purpose of that exit fee is for SDG&E to recover any losses they're incurring in liquidating contracts they've entered into for energy for those customers. SDG&E has assumed that they needed to serve those customers and have been entering into contracts for them. And now they don't have customers to sell that energy to, and they're selling it on the open market. We then take the ending results. So we start SDG&E's rates, deduct the exit fees, and then apply the 2% discount. From those then rates that we've determined, we analyze our energy usage and calculate what our revenue is going to be based on those new rates to determine if there's sufficient revenue being generated to cover our costs. If there is not sufficient revenue being generated, then we would adjust that discount until we do achieve sufficient revenue to cover our costs. We're an independent governmental entity. We don't rely on our member agencies to support our operations. So our rates need to be set at a level to generate sufficient revenue for our costs. Other considerations that we take into account in rate setting is meeting our goals. Our JPA has stipulated that we will provide a minimum 50% renewable energy, and that renewable percentage will grow incrementally each year to achieve 100% by 2035. So we need to generate sufficient revenue to pay the costs of that higher renewable energy portfolio. We also have set a target of achieving 2% savings on generation costs. So that's not a total bill savings, it's a cost on the for the service that we're competing with SDG&E, which is the actual electrons or the sales of energy. Or we want our rates to provide financial stability of the program. We have set a policy that we will fund, set aside 5% of our revenues into our reserves in order to provide financial stability of the program. We also have a line of credit, a credit agreement with JP Morgan. And in that credit agreement, there are certain covenants with regards to setting rates sufficient to cover costs. And so we make sure that when we do set our rates, that they do meet those covenants. But while we need to cover our costs, we also want to be mindful that we are competing with SDG&E. Our customers do have the option of opting out if they become unhappy with the service or don't feel that it is a valuable service that they're getting from us. And so we keep that in mind when we develop our rates. We keep in mind the impact to the customers that our rates may have on them, and that the value of the product that's being provided to the customers. We also want to set rates that provide rate stability. We want to minimize the number of rate changes that we have through a year. You have likely encountered yourselves, SDG&E often has many rate changes throughout a year. And so one of our goals is to have rate stability and set our rates and leave them the same, a minimum of 1 year. The rates that are before the board are proposed to be effective January 1st of 2022. The rates as proposed do generate sufficient revenue to cover costs over the long term. And we looked through fiscal year 2025. Because these rates are only effective for a partial year, they go into effect January, and our fiscal year ends in June of 2022. We do have a small shortfall in meeting our obligations for this current fiscal year. So we've been having discussions with JP Morgan with regards to increasing our line of credit. That increase is not before the board at this meeting, and the board will be considering adjourning the meeting for purposes of considering the line of credit increase. So that will be coming back before the board. These rates do achieve the target 2% generation savings on clean impact power supply compared to SDG&E. You might remember that we offer 3 different power supply products to our customers. Clean impact is a minimum 50% renewable energy, and that's the product that we use as the indicator of meeting that as savings. We also have Clean Impact Plus, which is a 75% carbon free, and is actually the product that the cities of Carlsbad, Del Mar, and Solana Beach have selected as their community's defaults. And the cities of Escondido and San Marcos will be considering which power supply will be the default for their communities in the spring. It also meets the financial stability checkbox. We are able to set aside the 5% minimum reserve, and it meets the JP Morgan credit covenants. Since we start with SDG&E rates, I want to take a moment to talk about their rate setting process. SDG&E sets their rates, their generation rates and exit fees through a process known as the ERA process. And that process is a process that goes through the California Public Utilities Commission for approval. They file their initial application in May. So they file it well in advance of when their rates will become effective, which is also January 1st of 2022. They update the underlying assumptions that they use to develop what they call their revenue requirements in November, and then receive final approval from the PUC in December. Through those application for 2022, their application did indicate that generation rates would be going up. The rates are going up in reaction to or response to an increase the current market we have with regards to the price of energy, or what SDG&E is paying for energy, and what also Clean Energy Alliance is paying for energy. And then our exit fees that are being charged for our customers are actually going down. Because the energy market has been going up and the price of energy has been going up, SDG&E can get a greater return when selling or liquidating those contracts on the market. So our customers don't have to come up with as much money to fill a loss because they're getting a greater value for those contracts in the market. The timeline that SDG&E of SDG&E's process does not give Clean Energy Alliance a very much time in advance to have visibility into their rates. So we've developed our rates based on their preliminary numbers, and have recommended to the board that we adopt those rates and then make the fine tuning of the rate schedule. Oh, go back. I do want to take one moment to provide to the board and to the public some information about what our customers are paying and how we compare to SDG&E. This chart has been updated to reflect the proposed rates. This first bar here on the left, this tall all green bar, is what SDG&E charges on average for residential customers per kilowatt hour for electricity, the electricity they use. The green portion of these two bars here is what we charge customers for, on average, residential customers for electricity. So this green portion is what we charge our customers for what we're selling to them and what we get as revenue. The orange part of this bar is the reflects adding the exit fee in that SDG&E charges. So you can see, and there's two different bars here because we have two different vintages. When a group of customers departs SDG&E and becomes a community choice energy customer, they are put into a group called a vintage, and it's based on the date that they leave service. Because Solana Beach customers actually were served by Solana Energy Alliance beginning in June of 2018, they've been assigned the 2017 vintage. And those customers will always stay the 2017 vintage, even though in May of 2021, they moved over and became Clean Energy Alliance customers. Carlsbad and Del Mar customers are in the 2020 vintage based on our initiating service in May and June of 2021. The Escondido and San Marcos customers will be in their own vintage. Assuming an April 2023 launch, they will be in the 2022 vintage. So the rate that we charge all of our customers is the same. All of our customers pay us the same amount of money for the energy that we sell to them. And it is significantly lower than SDG&E. You can see that our rates, you know, if our customers weren't paying the exit fee, we would have the potential to have, you know, some significant savings, or potentially, you know, close that gap a little bit and generate more money for programs. So this is I think a good way of explaining how the exit fees are impacting our customers. So then how do the rates that were proposed to the board for consideration, how do they impact a customer on their bill? So what we've done is we have calculated an average bill based on the average monthly electric usage for customers within our service territory, and then broken down each of the components of the bill for comparison purposes. So this first set of calculations is based on our current rates. This is for the customers from Carlsbad and Del Mar that are in the 2020 PCIA vintage. And you can see that this first top line is generated. So this is what they're paying Clean Energy, what they've been paying Clean Energy Alliance based on average usage for the electricity as compared to what SDG&E charges for an equivalent amount of electricity. Then we add in the exit fee. The exit fee is paid every month by customers, again, on a per kilowatt hour rate, and it's based on how much electricity they use each month. By adding those two factors together, we come up with what we call our generation related costs. And you can see for Carlsbad and Del Mar customers, they saved just over $1 in monthly average compared to what they would be paying SDG&E. Delivery charges that SDG&E charges customers is the same, whether a customer is a CEA customer or an SDG&E customer. So then we come to our total bill. Again, you see that just over $1 savings that our customers in the 2020 vintage realize. So for our current rates, our customers on average in the clean impact product, we're saving 2.25% on this portion, the generation related costs, and total bill just about 0.9% or 0.88%. Doing the same calculation based on the proposed rates, we still maintain that approximately $1 per month savings. We achieved the 2% savings on generation related costs, and the total bill savings is about the same at 0.82%. So then comparing the average generation costs for our customers for our current rates versus our proposed rates, Clean Energy Alliance customers have an increase of approximately 8.67%. SDG&E customers increase is about 8.38%. And on a total bill, it's about 3.3% for both. For demonstration purposes, we've kept delivery charges the same, but SDG&E is changing and increasing their delivery charges as well. But that hasn't been reflected here because we wanted to isolate just related to generation costs, because that's what our board has control of and what we're considering today. Looking at that same comparison for the Solana Beach customers who are in the 2017 vintage, the big difference, the first line is the same for those customers. That's what we just saw with the Carlsbad and Del Mar customers in the 2020 vintage. However, you can see there's a significant decrease for Solana Beach customers in their exit fees. While Carlsbad and Del Mar customers had about $1 a month savings, Solana Beach customers have actually been paying a premium. They've been paying a higher total cost as Clean Energy Alliance customers than they would have for SDG&E. They were at about a 2.4% premium compared to SDG&E, or just under 1% total bill premium. With this decrease in the exit fee, they're now realizing a savings. Their savings is approximately 6% on the generation related costs and 2.6% total bill. So they're actually just around $3 per month on average savings. So they're actually going to be able to be made whole over the course of a year based on the average premium they've been paying as a Clean Energy Alliance customer. When you compare total generation related costs under the new rates compared to the old rates, it's approximately 0.87% decrease. Again, that's really being driven by the decrease in exit fees. And SDG customers, of course, is higher. And a total bill, it's about a 0.35% decrease from the average total bill now versus the average total bill that's proposed. So to recap, our recommendation again is for the board to adopt the resolution that sets the rates and to direct staff to adjust the rate schedules now that we have the actual rates to ensure that all customers, each individual rate and rate time of use period is achieving the same savings throughout for all of the customers. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer whatever questions the board may have. And we also have 7 attendees today, so we'll look for questions from the attendees as well.
Perfect. All right. Do we have any speakers on this item?
We have no request to speak.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you so much for that thorough presentation. We do have a question from board member Drucker. Go ahead.
Yeah, nice presentation. Appreciate it. Just kind of looking forward, how is this exit fee going to be?
Board member Drucker?
Yes.
I would request that you refrain from discussion on this item, given potential any relation to.
That makes absolutely no sense. We're not talking about the credit line at all. And I did get to talk about we're setting rates, not determining what the credit line looks like. I really think you're taking a very limited view of this. And, you know, I have been chatting about rates in the past, and I need to, I think we need, you know, we need to, I need, and the rest of the board members need to hear what discussion is on board rates. You know, and I've done it in the past. I think you're taking way too limited a viewpoint of this. Just for the other board members, I do have a conflict of interest. I cannot vote on increasing or giving JP Morgan Chase a line of credit because the company I work with has a relationship with JP Morgan. Again, I think, Lindsay, you're taking way too strict of an interpretation of this.
It's an abundance of caution.
I think you're being way too cautious on this.
You can proceed, but that would just be my suggestion.
Thank you for your consideration on that. You know, what is this going to look like in the future in terms of the exit fees? Do we have any idea how those are going to look into the future?
Thank you for that question, Board Member Drucker. And I'll take a stab at answering, and then I would invite Mr. DeLacy from Pacific Energy Advisor to also weigh in case I've missed anything here. The exit fees, as I mentioned, are assessed by SDG&E in order for them to make up any losses that they may be incurring on liquidating contracts out now on the open market, and they're selling them, offering them for sale. And to the extent there are losses, the remaining SDG&E customers should not have to fill that loss. It's made up for through these exit fees. The exit fees is in existence for as long as they have contracts in their portfolio. So as those contracts come to their end of their term and roll off, you would, in theory, the exit fee should begin to diminish because there are less contracts now that they're liquidating. They do have contracts that are long-term. They have renewable contracts that go out as far as 20 years. So our customers, we will be living with exit fees for quite some time. We do anticipate that while exit fees have gone down this year compared to last year, or for 2022 as compared to 2021, I should say, we expect that some of that will come back up again because we anticipate that the energy market price of energy will start to come back down again. And now they're liquidating those contracts on the open market. So we would expect that there'll be some type of a correction back again that will increase those exit fees again. But they will be something that our customers pay for quite some time, likely upwards of 20 years. I will say that after about 10 years, we would expect that we will start seeing the impact of contracts rolling off, and with the bulk of potentially the contracts having reached their full term and then being removed from the portfolio. And I don't know, John, if you have any other thoughts or anything else to add.
It's John DeLacy here. Well, I would just say the long-term trend will be down for the reasons that Barbara mentioned, that as contracts begin to expire, then their contribution to the exit fee will fall off, and so it'll decline. Also, I think generally speaking, energy costs over the longer term are going to be rising. So now, year to year, it's really driven by what's happening in the energy markets in the short term. So you can kind of think of a long-term downward sloping line, but it's kind of wiggling around based on year to year what's happening in the market. And this year we've seen significant increases in the market prices, and we're seeing that reflected in a lower exit fee, pretty significantly lower exit fee for 2022. So there's a little bit of noise around that, but long term it should be declining.
So one other question. We're setting rates today, but those rates are going to change because most likely the distribution fee is going to change. Is that correct? And when will we have that finalized?
Our rates will not be changing as a result of distribution rates changing. We will be doing an analysis. We had developed the initial rate schedule based on the system averages in SDG&E's rate application. because they didn't have the specific rate schedules that laid out how much for each rate schedule and time period the rate was going to be. And now that we have that, we're going to do the same process again of taking SDG&E's rates, backing out exit fees, applying the discount, and comparing that result to the rate schedule that is before the board at this time, and then implement that new adjusted rate schedule should the board give that direction to staff.
Okay, but still the distribution fee for both SDG&E customers and CEA customers is going to most likely change. So the bottom line as to what people are paying per kilowatt hour is going to change based upon if they change that distribution fee. Is that correct?
The total bill does change, but CEA has no
Right.
input or effectuation. But yes, SDG&E's delivery charges, distribution charges are changing. They were, and they will be effective January 1st as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And can I just interject here too? So we're always looking at those SDG&E's contracts to see if it might be worthwhile for CEA to purchase those so that, you know, we could, I guess it's just not a great deal, most of them, but if there's ever a possibility, are we ready to jump on those? It seems like we're paying for them anyway.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. So there are a number of, there has been a recent proceeding at the PUC, which was trying to address, to your point exactly, that our customers are paying for electricity that they're not getting any value from. And so there is a proceeding that is being implemented called the Voluntary Allocation Valid and Market Offering, whereby SDG&E will be offering to Clean Energy Alliance contracts out of the portfolio, and then we can choose to take them or not take them. We also did, you may remember that the board recently approved a contract to buy renewable energy from SDG&E. That was through a competitive process. We had participated, where we had responded to a request for offers they had put out. And then as a follow-up to that, they reached out to us to negotiate on that. So we do look for opportunities for that. And you may also recall that as part of the assessment of the service expansion, it was indicated that we would actually need to rely upon SDG&E's supply for resource adequacy, for example, and renewable energy to meet our targets and requirements. And so we will be entering into conversations with them, and we do look for those opportunities. But we don't want to pay more than market price. We want to pay market price for those for that energy supply.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Vice Chair Bob Patel.
Yes, thank you so much. So I actually had received a question from someone asking regarding exit fees. And so basically with regards to the exit fees, if those do cover losses and there does end up being a surplus, does the CEA get the money refunded was the question. So I had told them I'd ask that question. So if you could answer that, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, so one of the reasons that the exit fees is going down this year for 2022 as compared to 2021 is because they did have, to some respects, an over collection. So it doesn't come back to CEA, it goes back to the customer. There is a true up when SDG&E sets its rates for the next year. They look at how they're tracking from what they anticipated to collect versus what they are collecting, and they make adjustments within their exit fee to reflect that. So if they don't collect enough, they'll have a supplement added. And if they collect too much, there'll be a deduction from the following year's exit fee. So those customers do get those monies back through that process.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Board Member Musgrove.
Yes, just a quick question about the exit fees. Is there a mechanism in place to track these contracts that SDG&E has now, so that if they are sold prior to the point of termination, we are notified and the correlating exit fee is then ended? Or is there anything at all to ensure that we're not paying for somebody else's electricity or simply paying a cost of doing business to SDG&E when they're no longer obliged for that electricity?
Yeah, Clean Energy Alliance actually puts great effort into hiring technical analysts and legal experts to delve deep into SDG&E's rate applications and to submit data requests to get information about what's the underlying premise for the rates that SDG&E is proposing. We get significant pushback from SDG&E with regards to those data requests. We've been successful to some extent in getting the PUC to see from our perspective the need, and our experts have found calculation errors, and their calculation errors that SDG&E was directed to correct and resulted in lower rates to our customers. So it's not a process that SDG&E is openly transparent. It does take a lot of push and a lot of attention by Clean Energy Alliance, and we actually partner with San Diego Community Power with regards to these efforts because our customers are all impacted the same, and so we share those costs and we share those experts for these proceedings.
Okay, are we getting any support from the PUC? Other than we make a request?
I might invite our regulatory counsel, Ty Tosdall, to weigh in. I'd say it's the PUC doesn't generally side with the CCAs, but we have had some success because we've been able to point out errors and in their in SDG&E's applications. And Ty, do you want to add any other thoughts about that?
Sure, Ms. Boswell, thank you. I agree wholeheartedly with you about your assessment of the CPUC's response to some of our requests for greater transparency. Mr. Musgrove, I wish we had the sort of contract database and notification system that you described. That would be certainly helpful in making sure that we are not paying any more than, our customers are not paying any more than they should. That said, there is a process that Ms. Boswell described whereby we have special attorneys, special counsel that handle this particular process, and we have a very excellent rate analyst support. So there is a process. We have proposed a number of improvements to that process, and some of those have been adopted and many of them have not, unfortunately. So this continues to be, as far as the legal process side of it and the disclosures that are available to us about SDG&E's contracts for which our customers obviously pay, we'd like to have more transparency. And a central part of our regulatory effort is to try to obtain more transparency. So I'll just add that.
Fantastic. I just think it's something we need to continue to push for the sake of our constituents and to ensure we're giving them the best product at the best possible price. So thank you both.
Thank you. And Ty, are you somewhere snow is behind you?
Yes, I am in Wyoming right now.
Wow. Thank goodness for these Zoom meetings, right?
That's right.
You can do that. All right, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, so with that, I'm in agreement. I'm really happy that we've been able to have stable rates this entire year for our customers. And since SDG&E has adjusted their rates, I would feel comfortable going ahead and moving staff recommendation for item number 4.
Musgrove will second.
Thank you. Call for the vote.
Member Drucker,
Yes.
Member Insco,
Yes.
Member Musgrove,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bapatel,
Aye.
and Chair Becker.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Item number 5, consider adoption of resolution number 2021-019, approving the implementation plan, addendum number 1, addressing service expansion to the cities of Escondido and San Marcos. Madam CEO, you want to take this one?
Yes, thank you, Chair Becker. And again, we have our technical experts, Mr. John DeLexi, here as a panelist. And we also have Kirby Dussel has joined us by telephone, who actually has also worked hard on the implementation plan addendum and will be available for questions that the board may have. I am going to share my screen once again here, and let's see here. Okay, so as our Chair Becker mentioned, the item for consideration is for the board to adopt a resolution that approves the implementation plan addendum related to expanding service to Escondido and San Marcos, and to direct staff to file the implementation plan with the California Public Utilities Commission.
Your slides are not moving, Barb.
Oh, they're not moving again?
No.
Okay.
Nice try again.
I apologize. Okay, how are we doing now?
Yep, better.
Okay. This is the first step in Clean Energy Alliance expanding its service into the cities of Escondido and San Marcos. It's the one and only official step that we take that gives us approval to provide service to those cities. The cities of Escondido and San Marcos have recently joined Clean Energy Alliance, and the anticipated service expansion date, or the date that we would begin serving those customers, is April 2023. So in order to be eligible or approved to begin that service, the PUC, California Public Utilities Commission, requires that we prepare and file an implementation plan amendment related to the Clean Energy Alliance service expansion. This amendment reflects the results of the assessment report that was prepared as part of the evaluation of the cities joining Clean Energy Alliance. Just to recap what that impact is, the total accounts, Escondido has approximately 56,000 service accounts. City of San Marcos, 36,800. When we add those to Clean Energy Alliance's current approximately 60,000 accounts, that brings us to 153,000 new service accounts that we would be serving, a significant increase to our current 1.5 times our current number of accounts. If we then look at the actual energy that's being used by customers, we go from a current 600,000 megawatt hours to just under 1.5 million. So more than doubling in terms of energy usage, or energy that we would be selling to those customers. The assessment report did determine that adding the cities had a positive impact to Clean Energy Alliance. And our implementation plan highlights key impacts and consequences associated with expanding service. So it talks about various things such as phasing. In this case, we would be rolling out to customers all in the same month. We don't anticipate phasing. We also have to talk about how we intend to meet our compliance requirements. It's a very structured report, the PUC, and we follow a general template to ensure that we're meeting all of the requirements that the PUC has for items that should be included in the implementation plan amendment. To be able to serve customers in 2023, the PUC requires that the implementation plan amendment be filed no later than January 1st of the year prior to service initiation. So in this case, it would be by January 1st, 2022. We are ready to make the necessary filings by the end of day tomorrow, which is December 31st, in order to meet that deadline, assuming that the board approves this recommendation. The PUC will then have 90 days upon which to review the implementation plan amendment, ask questions should they have any, and then certify the amendment so that we can move forward. So we would be looking at a response from them towards the end of March of 2022. Again, what we're asking the board can consider is to adopt resolution 2021-019 that approves the implementation plan addendum number 1, and to direct staff to file the implementation plan with the California Public Utilities Commission. So that does conclude my presentation. Chair Becker, I'm available to answer questions, as is our technical experts from Pacific Energy Advisors.
All right. Not seeing anybody jumping with their hands up because everybody read it and thoroughly understand it, right?
It was an excellent presentation. Thank you, Barbara. And I will move approval.
Perfect.
Second.
Very good. Call for the vote.
Member Musgrove,
Yes.
Member Drucker,
Yes.
Member Insco,
Yes.
Vice Chair Patel,
Aye.
and Chair Becker.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Very good. Thank you very much. All right. This is the sad time where I have to say goodbye. And I just wanted to say I very much enjoyed my year as chair. We're going to item number 6, pick a new board chair and a new vice chair for calendar year 2022.
Is there any reason why we have to rotate it every year?
No, I'm staying on for the next 10, okay?
Yeah. I realize the staff report does say that there is no limit, but would it make sense for us to have an informal limit of 2 years?
I don't know what you guys want to do. I was kidding.
You know, I'm just bringing this up to see if people, you know, the rest of the board members think a two-year term makes, well, we have to vote on it every year because things can change, but you know, basically just like most of the other boards have it like a 2-year two-year limit on
could
the
add
chair.
that discussion to a future board meeting as far as the number of years and any changes we would want to make.
Yeah, okay.
I will say
So Ms. Thorson, we could continue with the current chair and vice chair and then table the item and have it agendized in January, February as far as term limits.
Yes.
Yeah, we would just have to do term limits at some other time, but I don't see any reason why we have to be beholden to 1 year. So I would move that we elect Christy Becker as chair and Priya Patel as vice chair, unless Priya doesn't want to be vice chair.
I'm
Musgrove
fine
second that motion.
continuing. That's fine. Thanks, thanks, Dave.
I'm never going to get
second that.
Priya though, so.
That's a price you pay for good work.
Well, I'm very happy to go ahead and call for the vote for that.
Thank you, Member Insco,
Aye.
Member Musgrove,
Aye.
Member Drucker,
Yes.
Vice Chair Patel,
Aye.
and Chair Becker.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. We have next on the agenda, board member requests for future agenda items. And I had one, I thought we had talked about this. I just wanted to make sure. We need to talk about where the meetings will take place after they are virtually. Do we have that on the schedule? It makes sense to talk about that in January?
Yes, Chair
Okay.
Becker, that is planned for January.
Okay, very good. Any other thoughts about future agenda items? Not so far today. Okay, great. So we are going to need to talk about a date and time for adjourning this meeting and continuing it to a date certain in January. And I would suggest January 13th. It's a Thursday at 2 p.m. If that's good for everybody else. And are we just going to have the one item on that, the line of credit item?
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct.
And so it sounds like Board Member Drucker will not be able to participate. Does that mean that we'll have Board Member Warden able to vote for Del Mar?
We're determining that. We might have to consider that further as well. So we're moving the meeting, looking to adjourn this meeting to a date in January in order to provide time for everything to be finalized for that meeting rather than having it occur at this meeting.
Okay. All right, so does anyone have any terrible conflict for January 13th at 2 p.m.? Should be pretty short. Again, it'll be virtual. So it looks like, all right, then I would go ahead and move to adjourn this meeting until January 13th at 2 p.m. to be held virtually. May I have a
Second. Second.
Very good. All right, call for the vote.
Member Insco,
Aye.
Member Musgrove,
Aye.
Member Drucker,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bapatel,
Aye.
Chair Becker.
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, thank you very much. I guess that's it, and have a happy new year. We will see you in 2022.
Happy New Year.
Everybody have a
Happy New Year, everyone.
happy New Year.
Thank
Be
you.
well.
Thank you.